Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the misty dawn off British Columbia's jagged coast, where 40-foot cedar canoes slice through fog so thick you could butter it, and Tsimshian whalers lean into the Pacific's breath, while their voices rise like warm steam from a kettle. Picture it. Salt crystals sparkle on eyelashes, paddles drip silver, and every man aboard knows that one rogue wave could flip their world faster than you can say, "I forgot my life jacket." You probably won't survive this without a serious reality check, because the ocean here doesn't negotiate. These aren't weekend fishermen, they're families betting everything on a single hunt. And the songs they sing aren't just tunes, they're life rafts woven from rhythm and memory. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, drop your location and local time in the comments. I'm curious, who's drifting off with me tonight? Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The sky is still bruised with night when the first canoe noses away from the village beach. Torches gutter along the shore, painting the water in trembling gold, and the lead whaler, let's call him the steady-eyed one with the raven feather cloak, lifts his chin and begins a low, rolling note that feels older than the mountains behind him. The others join, not in perfect choir boy harmony, but in that raw, overlapping way. Families argue over dinner, one voice a little ahead, another lagging like it's savouring the phrase. Their song isn't loud, it's intimate, the kind you feel in your sternum before your ears catch up. Mainstream history records that Tsimshian whaling crews in the 1800s routinely harvested Pacific killer whales for oil, meat, and bone, using harpoons toggled under the skin and nets woven from stinging-nettle cordage strong enough to tow a Buick. Quirky tidbit. Some crews rubbed seal blubber on their lips to keep the cold from cracking them, creating an accidental glossy pout that would trend hard on certain apps today. Historians still argue whether the primary purpose of the departure song was to synchronize paddle strokes or to signal the village that the hunters were, in fact, leaving, and not just joyriding. Out beyond the kelp line, the fog thins just enough to reveal the breathing backs of the sea. Each exhale from the canoe leaves a ribbon of vapor that braids into the chant. The whalers sit two abreast, knees touching, cedar planks cool beneath them. Their paddles dip in unison now, pulled by the song's invisible leash. Imagine trying to sync a group workout while a blender full of ice water sloshes overhead. That's the vibe. The lead whaler varies the melody every few strokes. A subtle lift here, a held breath there, like he's teasing the ocean into revealing its mood. Behind him, a younger man, barely 17, cheeks still holding baby fat, keeps sneaking glances at the horizon, as if expecting a text message from the weather gods. His voice cracks on a high note. The others let it pass without a smirk, because every cracked note is a reminder that courage isn't born fully formed, it's sung into shape. The canoes spread into a loose crescent, hulls kissing every seventh swell. Spray needles their faces, but the song keeps climbing, layering over itself until it sounds like a round sung by ghosts. Salt crusts the whaler's braids. Someone's cedar bark hat tilts rakishly, threatening mutiny. A quiet joke floats down the line, something about the rookie's paddle looking more like a soup spoon, and the laughter is soft, swallowed quickly so the rhythm never stumbles. Out here, humor is ballast. The Pacific doesn't care about punchlines, but the men do. And that's enough to keep the canoe level when a rogue wave slaps the gunwale and dumps a bucket of 40-degree water across their thighs. They don't flinch. The song simply swells to fill the space shock leaves behind. By the time the sun burns a copper coin above the Olympics, the fleet is miles from shore. The village torches are long extinguished, but the whalers carry their own light now inside the rise and fall of their voices. The lead whaler shifts the melody into a minor key, and the paddles slow, almost meditative. This is the transition point. The moment when the song stops being about leaving and starts being about arriving. Arriving at the hunting grounds where orcas patrol like black and white submarines. The water deepens to indigo, and the canoes ride heavier, as if the ocean itself is listening. Somewhere beneath them, a pod exhales, a sound like distant thunder muffled in velvet. The whalers answer with a held note that vibrates the cedar ribs of the canoe. It's a greeting, a dare, a lullaby rolled into one. The rookie's knuckles whiten on his paddle, but his voice stays steady now, finding its pocket in the harmony. He's learning that the song isn't background music. It's the architecture holding the day together. Without it, the fog would close like a fist. With it, the men breathe as one organism, 40 feet long and fearless. The lead whaler catches the boy's eye and gives the smallest nod. Approval, inheritance, the passing of a torch that flickers without flame. The chant dips lower, almost a whisper, as the canoes ghost forward into the hunting grounds. Ahead, the water boils with promise and peril, but the song has already drawn a circle around them, a salt spray cathedral where fear is just another note waiting to be resolved. The song doesn't fade as the canoes glide deeper. It sinks roots into something older than cedar, older than the 1800s, whalers themselves. Picture the same stretch of coast 500 years before Christ, before anyone thought to write the date, and a circle of Tsimshian ancestors crouched on a storm-lashed beach, faces painted with charcoal and ochre, watching a cedar plank the size of a dorbuck in the surf like it's alive. That plank would become the first dugout capable of chasing whales beyond the sight of land, but right now it's just driftwood with delusions of grandeur. Mainstream history nods to archaeological digs near Prince Rupert that uncovered red cedar harpoon heads, dated to around 500 BC. Proof that these people were already engineering ocean predators into groceries. Quirky tidbit, one of those ancient harpoon points still had a tuft of sea lion sinew wrapped around the base, the prehistoric equivalent of leaving the price tag on a gift. Historians still argue whether the Thunderbird myth began as a metaphor for lightning strikes on tall cedars, or as a literal description of massive storms that looked, from a canoe, like a bird the size of Vancouver Island. The ancestors didn't have 40-foot canoes yet. Theirs were stubby, river-borne things that leaked enthusiasm and seawater in equal measure. But they had the song. It started with a single woman. Let's say her name tasted like smoke and salmon kneeling at the water's edge while thunder cracked overhead. She pressed her palms to the sand and let out a note so low it rattled shells. The men around her froze, rain streaming off their chins, because that note wasn't fear, it was negotiation. The Pacific had been hurling tantrums for 3 days, swallowing fishing nets and spitting out splinters. Someone needed to remind the storm who fed whom, so she sang, and the others layered in. Not because they understood the words there were barely words yet, but because the vibration felt like shelter. The melody climbed the same intervals the whalers would use 2 millennia later, a staircase of sound that convinced the sky to step back an inch. Lightning forked, illuminating the beach in magnesium white, and for a heartbeat everyone saw the same thing: wings. Not bird wings, not eagle or raven, but something vast and feathered in cloud, eyes glowing like hot coals. The Thunderbird. It didn't speak. It simply hovered, listening. The woman's voice cracked exhaustion, not fear, and the youngest boy in the circle, maybe 8 summers old, picked up the thread without missing a breath. That's the moment the song became immortal. It wasn't about the singer anymore. It was about the space between singers. The handoff that says, "Your turn to hold the sky." The storm didn't vanish, but it softened, the way a fist unclenches when it realizes the thing it's squeezing isn't struggling. Rain turned to mist. Waves shrank from walls to welts, and the ancestors dragged their leaky proto-canoe above the tide line, humming all the while. Fast forward a few centuries, and the song has grown armor. The canoes are longer now, hollowed by fire and adze. And the Thunderbird has a job description: weather negotiator, whale herder, occasional postal service between the living and the drowned. Every village keeps a carved cedar box the size of a loaf of bread. Inside rests a single eagle feather dipped in whale oil. When the box is opened, the song must begin no exceptions because the feather remembers the storm it flew through. The 1800s whalers we met last section, they're carrying that feather in spirit, even if the physical one is tucked in a museum drawer today. The lead whaler's raven cloak isn't just fashion. The raven is Thunderbird's grumpy accountant, keeping track of favors owed. Back on the beach in 500 BC, the boy who saved the melody is now a man with a limp from a harpoon rope that snapped and took his knee with it. He teaches the song to his daughter, who teaches it to her niece, who teaches it to a captured hider girl traded in a peace deal, thick with awkward silences and too much salmon jerky. The melody mutates the way recipes do. Someone adds a trill here, another drops a beat there, but the bones stay Thunderbird-shaped. By the time Iron Nails and Hudson's Bay Blankets arrive, the song has verses in 3 dialects and a chorus that makes even skeptical Norwegian traders tap their boots. One of those traders scribbles in his journal that the Tsimshian sing the wind to sleep, which is either poetry or a cry for shore leave after too much rum. The rookie from Section 1, the one whose voice cracked like a preteen at a school dance, he's a direct descendant of that limping harpooner, though he'll never know it. Every time he sings the departure chant, he's echoing a conversation that started when his ancestors asked a storm for mercy and got a lifetime subscription. The Thunderbird isn't a cuddly mascot. It's a force that can pluck a canoe from the water and set it down in a tree if the song sours. But when the harmony holds, the great bird banks overhead, wings brushing clouds into pillows. The whalers feel it as a sudden hush in the wind, a pocket of warm air that smells faintly of cedar smoke. They don't look up. Looking up invites vertigo, but they smile into their chins, because the song just cashed a very old check. And here's where the gentle sarcasm creeps in. Imagine trying to explain this to a Victorian missionary convinced that thunder is god bowling. No, sir. It's a giant bird balancing the weather budget, and we pay in 4-part harmony. The missionary blinks, adjusts his spectacles, and writes, "Superstition," in the margin. Meanwhile, the Tsimshian keeps singing, because the ocean doesn't read margins. The song evolves again in the 1800s, picking up a syncopated beat stolen from Scottish fiddlers who traded whiskey for stories. The Thunderbird doesn't mind, it's heard worse. What matters is the handoff, the unbroken chain from a rain-soaked beach in 500 BC to a fog-draped canoe in 1850, where 40 men breathe the same lullaby. Their great-great-grandmothers used to quiet a tantrum in the sky. The melody is still drifting above the canoes like a lazy gull when the first drum speaks. It isn't a drum in the rock concert sense, no gleaming chrome, no pyrotechnics, just a flat cedar box the size of a pizza tray, skin stretched tight from a deer that probably never imagined its hide moonlighting as a pacemaker. The drummer sits mid-canoe, knees splayed, and taps once, thump. The sound lands in every chest like a second heartbeat. Thump. Again, perfectly timed with the swell that lifts the hull. The whalers don't miss a stroke, their paddles keep kissing the water. But now the song has a pulse you could set a watch to if watches existed and weren't terrified of salt water. Mainstream history confirms that Tsimshian whaling canoes carried frame drums made from cedar and hide, used to coordinate crew movements during long pursuits. Quirky tidbit: some drummers chewed spruce gum to keep their mouths moist, leaving little amber wads stuck under the gunwale like prehistoric post-it notes. Historians still argue whether the drum's primary rhythm mimicked the human heart at rest, or the tail fluke slap of a surfacing orca. The lead whaler nods, without turning permission granted, and the drummer settles into a pattern. Thump thump, pause thump. It's the audio equivalent of a metronome on vacation, relaxed but insistent. The rookie's paddle hesitates for half a beat, then locks in. He's learning that the drum isn't bossy. It's a mirror. When his own pulse races, say, because a shadow the size of a city bus just cruised under the canoe, the drum nudges it back to baseline. Thump thump, pause, thump. The sound travels through cedar, through water, through bone. Out here, physics is negotiable, and rhythm is the currency. Imagine trying to meditate while riding a mechanical bull set to gentle. That's the whaler's morning. Each drumbeat coincides with the moment the canoe crests a swell, so the hull feels like it's inhaling and exhaling with them. Spray arcs over the bow, catching sunlight in prisms, and for a second the droplets hang mid-air like notes on an invisible staff. The drummer varies the tempo the way a DJ scratches a record. Subtle, never showy. A faster roll when the fog thickens. A lazy heartbeat when a patch of glass-calm water appears, as if the ocean itself is dozing. The men's voices weave around the drum like ivy. Low verse from the stern, higher response from the bow. The rookie squeaking somewhere in the middle trying to find his lane. The drum isn't just for show. It's a nervous system hack. Salt water numbs fingers. Cold seeps into joints. And doubt quiet, insidious starts whispering that maybe the pod isn't out here today. Thump, thump, pause, thump. Doubt shuts up. The rhythm reminds every whaler that he's not a solo act. He's one chamber in a 40-foot heart. When the lead whaler shifts to a new verse, something about Thunderbird folding storms into origami cranes, the drummer answers with a soft rim tap that sounds suspiciously like applause. Gentle sarcasm. If applause were made of deer, hide and existential dread. Hours slide by, measured in drum beats rather than minutes. The canoes have fanned wider now, a loose net of wood and muscle searching for the telltale dorsal fin. The drummer's hands are raw, but he rotates the stick to a fresh patch of callus, the way a guitarist switches fingers mid-solo. Someone passes him a strip of dried halibut. He chews without breaking rhythm, crumbs falling into the bilge like confetti at a very damp party. The rookie watches, fascinated, then startles when the drum suddenly doubles speed, thump, 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 like a runner sprinting in place, head swivel. There, half a mile starboard, a black fin slices the surface, then another, then a whole pod, exhaling in smoky plumes. The drummer eases back to cruising tempo, but the damage is done. Adrenaline spikes, paddles dig deeper, and the song lifts an octave without anyone deciding to. The drum has a twin. Actually, another canoe carries a second drummer, slightly out of sync on purpose. The offset creates a phase effect, a watery reverb that makes the sound feel bigger than the fleet. It's accidental genius. Two heartbeats pretending to be one giant one. The orcas hear it. Whales are acoustic creatures. Sound is their internet. That double thump travels through water faster than through air, pinging off their melon-shaped foreheads like a dinner bell wrapped in a question. Are you friend? Are you food? The drum says, neither, just passing through. Mind if we borrow some blubber? The pod circles, curious. One cow surfaces so close the rookie can see barnacles like tiny volcanoes on her fin. He forgets to paddle. The drum forgives him. Thump, thump. Pause. Thump. Pulling him back into the pocket. Now the real magic, or science, depending on your mood, kicks in. The whalers ease the canoes into a crescent again, but tighter this time, hulls almost touching. The drums sync perfectly, no phase, no echo. Just one heartbeat split across 10 canoes. The song drops to a murmur, almost a whisper, while the drums keep talking underneath. It's the audio version of dimming the lights before a movie. The orcas slow, milling in the center of the crescent, like they've been invited to a block party. The lead whaler lifts a hand. Hold. Paddles rise, dripping, silent. Only the drums remain, thump, thump, pause, thump, steady as a lullaby for something that could bite the canoe in half. The rookie's arms tremble from the sudden stillness, but the drum keeps him upright, a metronome against panic. He realizes the rhythm isn't just for the men, it's for the whales too. Orcas hunt in packs, coordinate with clicks and whistles, but this drum is speaking their language in slow motion. Thump, thump, pause, thump. It's saying, we see you, we respect you, Now please drift a little closer to the nets we definitely aren't mentioning out loud. The pod obliges, lazy S-curves bringing them within rope range. The drummer's face is slick with sweat and spray, but his smile is pure mischief, like he's just convinced the ocean to hold its breath. And here's the light joke payload. Imagine explaining this to a modern sound engineer. So, you want a subwoofer made of deer hide, tuned to 60 BPM, powered by salmon jerky and sheer willpower? He'd quote you 6 figures and still get the reverb wrong. The Tsimshian got it for free, plus a side of existential purpose. The drums fall silent, total cut-off. No decay. The sudden absence of sound is louder than any beat. 40 whalers hold their breath in perfect sync. Cedar creaking, gulls wheeling overhead. The orcas pause too, as if waiting for the next track to drop. The lead whaler's hand lowers, slow as sunset. Nets uncoil from the bow, silent as secrets. The drum has done its job, turned 40 separate heartbeats into one. And now the hunt is a heartbeat away from payday. The nets unfurl like pale jellyfish, weighted with stone sinkers and buoyed by sealskin floats that bob like mischievous corks. They aren't the cartoonish fishing nets you'd toss off a pier for crab. These are engineered webs, each cord twisted from stinging-nettle fibers that could lasso a locomotive, if locomotives swam and had opinions. The lead whaler's hand hovers, then slices downward go. Paddles bite water again, silent as conspiracy. And the crescent of canoes tightens around the pod, the way a hug turns into a chokehold when you're not paying attention. Mainstream history logs that Tsimshian whalers harvested orcas using large encirclement nets deployed from multiple canoes, a tactic requiring split-second coordination to avoid tangling 40-foot hulls into origami disasters. Quirky tidbit. The net cords were sometimes dyed with alder bark until they glowed faint red, supposedly making them less visible to whale eyes underwater camouflage via vegetable juice. Historians still argue whether the red dye was optical stealth or symbolic blood offering to keep the Thunderbird from billing overtime. The orcas sense the shift. The cow with the barnacled fin blows once, sharp, and the pod condenses into a living knot of black and white muscle. 40 tons of apex predator realizing the block party is fine print. The rookie's stomach flips like a pancake in a grease fire, but the song, remember the song, slides back in. Softer now, almost conversational. It's the same melody that launched the canoes at dawn, but stripped to its underwear. 2 notes repeating. A gentle seesaw that says, "Easy friends, just a friendly loop-de-loop." The drums stay quiet. This part is voice only, the acoustic equivalent of tiptoeing past a sleeping bear that could bench press your house. Nets arc overhead, ropes hissing through air thick with whale breath. The first loop lands across the cow's back like a scarf she didn't ask for. She rolls, tail fluke slapping the surface hard enough to drench the nearest canoe, and the rookie tastes copper his own heartbeat in his throat. But the net holds. Stinging-nettle cord doesn't stretch, it bites. Another net follows, then another, overlapping into a noose that tightens with every paddle stroke. The podmills, confused, their usual escape route suddenly decorated with floating spaghetti. One young bull charges the gap between 2 canoes, dorsal fins slicing water like a credit card through butter. The whalers lean back in perfect sync, canoes rocking but not yielding, and the net snaps shut behind him. Checkmate. The song never wavers. If anything, it sweetens. The men pitching their voices higher, almost playful, the way you'd coax a toddler into a high chair with promises of ice cream. The orcas aren't toddlers, but sound is their native tongue. And this lullaby is fluent. The cow surfaces inside the noose, eye rolling white, and for a heartbeat the rookie locks gazes with her. It's not Disney eye contact. It's a stare down between species that ends with mutual respect, and one side becoming dinner. The net cinches, floats bobbing frantic now, and the pod's panicked clicks bounce off cedar hulls like sonar pinballs. The whalers answer with a held note, long, steady, the vocal equivalent of a weighted blanket. The cow's struggles slow, not from exhaustion, from resignation, or maybe from the song wrapping her adrenaline in cotton. Here's where the ocean stages its own comedy routine. A rogue seal late to the memo that this is whale territory pops up inside the net circle, blinks at 40 tons of Orca, and executes the fastest U-turn in marine history. The whalers snort mid-harmony, the sound muffled but unmistakable. Gentle sarcasm. Nothing says apex predator, like a seal treating you like a revolving door. The moment breaks tension just enough for the rookie to breathe. His paddle finds rhythm again, and the net crew hauls hand over hand, muscles knotting under cedar bark armor. The noose shrinks to 20 feet, then 10, the cow's blows now muffled inside a cage of rope and water. The lead whaler stands, yes, stands. Because balance is apparently optional when you've sung storms to sleep. And lifts a toggling harpoon. It's not the Hollywood spear. It's a sleek dart with a barbed head designed to pivot under the skin and lock like a seatbelt. He sights along the shaft, song still humming in his chest, and lets fly. The harpoon buries just behind the dorsal fin. With a sound like a stapler punching wet cardboard, the cow surges, dragging 2 canoes sideways, but the line is fast to the bow cleat, and the fleet pivots as one. It's a water ballet choreographed by physics and centuries of muscle memory. The rookie's canoe lurches. He grabs the gunwale, knuckles white, but the song keeps him from tumbling overboard. Thump goes his heart weight. No drums, just imagination filling the silence. Secondary harpoons follow, each toggling home with soft thunks. The cow tires faster than physics says she should, and the whalers know why. The song is a tranquilizer dart made of sound. Modern science would call it entrainment heart rate syncing, breath patterns mirroring. But the Tsimshian call it singing the fight out of her. The pod's escorts mill at the net's edge, whistling distress, but the noose is a one-way valve. One by one they're cut off by overlapping webs until only the cow remains, rolling gently now, eye half-lidded. The rookie watches, stunned, as the lead whaler kneels at the bow and begins a new verse. Soft, almost private, the kind of tune you'd hum to a colicky baby at 3 a.m. The cow's blows slow to match the cadence. The ocean itself seems to lean in. Net crews work fast, looping extra lines around the tailstock to keep the flukes from smashing holes into kindling. Blood clouds the water, pink and lazy, but the song washes it clean in the rookie's mind. This isn't slaughter. It's communion with stakes. The cow's eye finds the lead whaler again, and he meets it without flinching, voice steady. Apology, gratitude, promise it's all there in the melody. The rookie feels it in his teeth. A vibration older than language. The cow exhales once more, long and bubbling, and the struggle ends. The fleet goes still, canoes rocking in the sudden quiet, nets heavy with the weight of a harvest and a covenant. The lead whaler raises a hand. Secure. Ropes creak, sinkers clink, and the song shifts into a working rhythm, short bursts to time the hauling. The cow's body is lashed alongside the largest canoe, head and tail supported by floats so she rides like a royal barge. The rookie stares at the barnacles, each one a tiny city the whale carried across oceans. His hands shake, but the song steadies them, note by note. The fleet turns for home, nets coiled, drums silent, voices low and satisfied. The pod's survivors scatter, their clicks fading into the deep like gossip after a funeral. The whalers sing the cow home, the same lullaby that lured her now guiding her spirit to wherever whale souls clock out. And here's the light joke payload. Imagine the DMV for sea creatures. Cause of death? Ensnared by vegetable fiber bureaucracy and emotionally manipulative folk music. The cow would roll her eye if she still had the energy. But the song keeps rolling too, across the water now gilded with afternoon light. The rookie finds his voice again, stronger, threaded with the others as they paddle the long miles back. The noose nets trail behind like victory banners, and the ocean, appeased, exhausted, or maybe just bored, lets them pass without further comment. The cow's body rides the swell like a dark island, lashed tight to the starboard side, and the fleet's song has turned into something you'd hear in a cathedral built of salt and wind. The men's voices rise and fall together, no longer coaxing wails but cradling the day itself, each note a plank in the invisible bridge back to shore. The Pacific has gone from snarling to purring, glassy patches reflecting sky so perfectly the canoes seem to float between two heavens. Mainstream history notes that a single adult orca could yield up to 400 gallons of oil, enough to light and heat a Tsimshian village through a winter that laughs at central heating. Quirky tidbit: some whalers tucked a pinch of the cow's blubber behind their ear like perfume, claiming it kept mosquitoes from mistaking them for dessert. Historians still argue whether the return song was primarily a victory anthem or a sustained apology to the sea for borrowing one of its children. The rookie sits mid-canoe now, promoted from paddle grunt to official rope tender, a job that mostly involves not letting the whale corpse drift into the paddles and turn the fleet into a very expensive blender. His fingers are raw from net cord, but the song numbs the sting, the way warm tea numbs a sore throat. The lead whaler has moved aft, one foot on the gunwale, the other planted like he's posing for a statue titled "Man Who Convinced the Ocean to Share." He leads the new verse with a voice that's half honey, half gravel, and the others layer in so seamlessly it feels like the melody was waiting for this exact moment to be born. The words, if you can call them words, are more breath than language. Syllables shaped by centuries of lungs that knew the taste of fog before breakfast. The ocean itself joins the choir. A pod of dolphins appears off the port bow, riding the pressure wave of the canoes like kids on shopping carts. They leap in perfect arcs, white bellies flashing, and every splash lands on the downbeat. The whalers don't cheer too much energy, too little hydration, but the rookie can't help a grin that splits his salt-cracked lips. One dolphin surfs the whale's flank, nudging the carcass like it's checking for a pulse. The lead whaler answers with a trill that sends the dolphin spiraling away in a corkscrew of delight. Gentle sarcasm. Nothing says successful hunt like an impromptu marine flash mob. The dolphins peel off after a mile, as if their set list is over, leaving the fleet in a silence that feels curated. The sun climbs, baking the cedar, until it smells like a sauna with commitment issues. Someone passes a waterskin cedar again, because apparently everything must be cedar, or the universe files a complaint. The rookie drinks, sputters, drinks again. The water tastes of smoke and yesterday's rain, and it slides down like the song slides over the water, smooth and inevitable. The whale's eye, still open, reflects clouds scudding past. The rookie meets it again and this time doesn't flinch. There's no accusation there, just a stillness that feels like permission. The song shifts, lower now, and the whale's bulk seems to settle heavier against the hull, as if the melody is tucking it in for the long ride home. Hours blur. The rhythm of paddle and voice becomes a single organism. 40 men and one dead whale, breathing together. The lead whaler introduces a call and response. He sings a line about the Thunderbird folding the cow's spirit into its wing, and the crew echoes with a line about the village fires burning brighter tonight. It's improv, but it's also scripture. Every verse a stitch in the tapestry that keeps the world from unraveling. The rookie finds himself on the response side without rehearsal, his voice cracking less, finding the pocket where the others live. The song is a cradle now, rocking the fleet through a sea that has decided to behave for the moment. A squall line gathers on the horizon, purple and grumpy, the kind of cloud that looks like it's late for an appointment with chaos. The whalers see it, feel it in the sudden drop of pressure, but the song doesn't falter. If anything, it thickens, voices braiding tighter. The lead whaler lifts a hand, not command, just acknowledgement, and the fleet adjusts course a few points to starboard. sliding along the squall's edge like threading a needle with a canoe. The rookie's heart tries to sprint, but the song reins it in, note by note, until the squall is just scenery. The whale's tail fluke lifts on a swell, water streaming off in silver sheets, and for a heartbeat it looks alive again, waving goodbye, or maybe hello. The crew answers with a held note that vibrates the cedar until the rookie's teeth buzz. The village appears as a smudge of smoke against the mountains, then resolves into longhouses with cedar shingle roofs that glint like fish scales. Children line the beach, waving cedar boughs, their voices a high counterpoint drifting across the water. The fleet's song swells to meet them, a reunion anthem that makes the gulls wheel and scream like they're late to the party. The rookie's eyes sting salt, sweat, something else, and he realizes the cradle of sound has carried them not just across miles, but across the invisible line between terror and triumph. The whale's bulk nudges the lead canoe gently, as if nudging the memory of the hunt into the village's keeping. The song softens as the canoes ground on gravel that sings under the hulls. Women wade out, skirts hitched, knives already flashing to begin the rendering. The lead whaler steps ashore first, water streaming from his cloak, and the village falls silent respect, not fear. He lifts the harpoon that took the cow, now wrapped in red cedar bark, and places it at the feet of an elder whose face is a topographic map of every storm she's ever sung to sleep. The elder nods, once, and the song resumes, village voices folding into the fleets like streams into a river. The rookie stumbles onto the beach, legs wobbly from hours of cradle rocking, and a girl no older than 10 presses a cup of warm salmon broth into his hands. He drinks, burns his tongue, drinks again. The song is everywhere now, and the crackle of fires, the hiss of blubber boiling, the laughter of children chasing gulls. Night falls fast, the way it does when mountains gobble the sun. The whale is quartered, oil flowing into cedar barrels that will glow through the winter like bottled starlight. The rookie sits on a log, broth gone cold, and realizes the song hasn't stopped. It's just changed venue. Inside the longhouse, drums thump soft as heartbeats. Voices braid around stories of the hunt, and the cow's spirit is thanked, feasted, sent on its way with enough song to drown out any lingering regret. The lead whaler finds the rookie, claps a hand on his shoulder, heavy with the day. Tomorrow, he says, we sing the oil into lamps. The Salt Spray Cathedral has come home, and its walls are made of cedar and memory. The fire pops, sending sparks up to join the stars. Someone starts a new verse, slow, round, the kind you can fall asleep inside. The rookie's eyes sag, the cradle rocking him now from the inside out. The song promises that tomorrow the sea will be restless again. But tonight it is a lullaby vast enough to hold a village, a whale, and one very tired boy who learned that courage is just fear with a backbeat. The longhouse glows from within, cedar walls breathing out warmth, and the sweet, heavy scent of rendering blubber. Outside, the tide keeps its own slow heartbeat, shushing against the gravel like a mother rocking a cradle that never quite sleeps. Inside, the song has shapeshifted again. No longer the sharp-edged tool of the hunt. It's rounded, softened, the vocal equivalent of a quilt stitched from every voice that ever faced the Pacific and came home wet. The rookie, still tasting smoke in his broth, sits cross-legged on a woven mat, eyes half-lidded, while the elder who received the harpoon begins a verse so low it feels like the floorboards are humming it. Mainstream history records that Tsimshian communities processed orca oil in massive cedar vats, using hot stones to keep the melt steady and prevent scorching. Quirky tidbit: children were paid in dried blueberries to skim foam from the vats, turning a chore into a purple-tongued festival. Historians still argue whether the lullaby-like songs sung during rendering were meant to honor the whale's spirit, or simply to keep sleepy workers from nodding off into boiling fat. The melody drifts through the longhouse like incense. Women sway as they stir, their ladles clacking against cedar in soft counter-rhythm. Men carve bone into needles, awls, combs, every piece a promise that nothing is wasted. The rookie watches a girl his age etch a tiny orca onto a toggle, her tongue poking from the corner of her mouth in concentration. She catches him staring and flicks a blueberry at his forehead. It bounces off, leaving a purple freckle. The song swallows his laugh before it escapes, folding it into the harmony like another instrument. The elder's voice cracks age, not weakness, and a boy no older than 6 picks up the thread without hesitation, piping the next line in a treble that makes the rafters smile. This is the handoff again, the same one that calmed a storm in 500 BC, now calming a village at midnight. The song's job tonight is bigger than any single wail. It has to cradle the entire day, the terror of the noose, the triumph of the toggle, the ache of muscles that paddled 40 miles with a corpse for company. The melody stretches, slow as taffy, each note held until the next one begs to be born. The rookie feels it in his spine, a loosening, as if the song is unknotting him one vertebra at a time. Outside, the wind picks up, rattling the cedar shingles like dice in a cup. But inside the longhouse, the air is thick with oil and story. Someone adds a verse about the dolphin flash mob. Someone else counters with the seal's Olympic U-turn. The song grows fat on laughter, on details too small for history books but too large to forget. The elder lifts a ladle of liquid gold pure orca oil, still warm, and pours it into a stone lamp. The wick catches with a soft pop, and light blooms across faces etched by salt and smoke. The flame dances to the song's tempo, steady, unhurried. Another lamp, another, until the longhouse is a constellation of small suns. The rookie's shadow stretches long across the mats, merging with the elders until it's impossible to tell whose story is whose. The song dips into a minor key, the part where the whale's spirit is thanked and released. The girl with the toggle finishes her carving, holds it up. The tiny orca has the rookie's wide eyes. She grins, tucks it into his palm. The song approves, swelling just enough to say, asterisk, keep this, remember, asterisk. Hours slip. The vats cool. The oil thickens and the song thins to a whisper. Children curl against parents like commas in a sentence. The rookie's head nods, chin to chest, but the melody keeps him upright, a gentle hand on his shoulder. The elder's voice is a thread now, barely audible. Yet every soul in the longhouse hangs on it. She sings of storms that never came because the song was stronger, of whales that gave themselves because the harmony asked politely. The rookie dreams without closing his eyes. He's back in the canoe, but the whale is singing times to him asterisk, a bass note that vibrates the cedar until it sprouts wings. The Thunderbird swoops low, plucks the canoe from the water, and sets it gently on the longhouse roof. The song is the glue holding the dream together. Dawn leaks through the smoke hole, pale and apologetic. The song doesn't stop. It simply changes clothes. The elder's whisper becomes a hum, passed from throat to throat like a shared secret. Workers rise, joints creaking, and the melody follows them outside where the tide has left gifts. Kelp necklaces, a raven feather, a single perfect sand dollar. The rookie wakes fully when the girl nudges him with her foot. "Your turn to skim," she says, handing him a cedar scoop. The vats are still warm, the oil glossy as obsidian. He dips, lifts, skims foam that smells of campfire and ocean. The song is background now, but it's in his wrists, in the scoop's arc, in the way the oil ripples like liquid moonlight. The village stirs, dogs bark at gulls, babies fuss, and the song adapts, stretching to cover the chaos. The rookie skims and hums, off-key but earnest. The girl corrects his pitch with a raised eyebrow, and he adjusts without embarrassment. This is how lullabies master storms, one corrected note at a time. The oil barrels fill, each one a promise of light through the dark months. The whale's bones are hauled to the carving shed, where they'll become tools, toys, totems. Nothing is wasted, not even the song, which will be sung again tonight, and tomorrow, and the night after that, until the oil is gone and the story is all that's left. The rookie pauses, scoop dripping, and looks out at the Pacific. It's calm now, almost shy, as if embarrassed by yesterday's tantrum. The song has done its work. The storm that threatened on the return journey never arrived, lulled into oblivion by 40 voices and a cedar box drum. He thinks of the cow's eye, the dolphin's leap, the elder's crack, and realizes the lullaby isn't just for whales or weather. It's for him, for the girl, for every heart that beats too fast in the dark. The melody is a cradle vast enough to hold an ocean, and he's rocking in it, safe, for now. The sun clears the mountains, gilding the village in earnest. The song lifts, brightens, becomes a morning hymn. The rookie skims the last of the foam, wipes his hands on his tunic, and joins the chorus without being asked. His voice is stronger now, threaded with the others, part of the weave. The Pacific listens, waves lapping gentle as a cat. The lullaby has tamed another storm, and the day is just beginning. The oil lamps burn low, but the song keeps passing, hand to hand, voice to voice, the way a hot coal travels a circle without scorching anyone twice. Dawn has fully arrived now, painting the longhouse in buttery light, and the rookie, still clutching the tiny carved toggle, finds himself outside with the other youths, lined up like mismatched spoons along the beach. An elder with a braid thick as mooring rope stands before them, cedar staff tapping the gravel in soft punctuation. This is the next handoff. The lullaby must be taught before breakfast, because hunger sharpens memory the way cold sharpens steel. Mainstream history documents that Tsimshian oral traditions were transmitted generationally through structured mentorship, with elders drilling songs into youths during daily chores. Quirky tidbit: some elders tested pitch accuracy by balancing a mussel shell on the singer's head. If it wobbled, you started over, and the gulls got a snack. Historians still argue whether the lullaby's storm-calming verses were literal weather charms or metaphorical lessons in emotional regulation. The elder begins without preamble, a single low note that feels like the tide pulling back to reveal secrets. The youths answer, ragged at first. Someone's voice cracks like thin ice. Another rushes ahead like an overeager puppy. The elder taps her staff. Reset. Again. The rookie's throat is raw from last night's rendering smoke, but the toggle in his pocket is warm, a tiny orca cheering him on. He finds the note, holds it, feels it settle in his chest like a bird choosing a perch. The elder nods, once, and the circle tightens. The song is the same one that launched the canoes, lured the pod, cradled the whale home but stripped to its essence. 3 phrases repeated until they're muscle memory. The Pacific listens from the shoreline, waves lapping in gentle applause. The lesson moves to the water's edge. The elder wades ankle deep, motioning the youths to follow. Salt water soaks their leggings, cold enough to make the rookie gasp, but the song warms him from the inside out. She teaches them to sing times with times the tide, not against it. Inhale on the pullback, exhale on the push forward, so the melody rides the ocean's breath. A gull swoops low, snatches a floating blueberry, someone's missed shell, and the circle laughs, the sound braided into the next phrase. The elder doesn't scold. Laughter is part of the curriculum. The rookie tries the breathing trick, chokes on a wave, comes up sputtering but still singing. The girl from the rendering vats, blueberry fingers and all, splashes him in encouragement. By mid-morning, the youths are scattered across the village, song in their mouths and chores in their hands. The rookie is paired with a boy named Raven, because of course he is who's all elbows and opinions. They're tasked with splitting kindling, axes heavy as guilt. The elder's voice drifts from the smokehouse, setting the tempo, thunk phrase asterisk. The rookie swings, misses, sends a cedar round skittering into the salal. Raven snorts, hands him the axe handle first. Sing it, not swing it, he says, and demonstrates a clean note on the downswing, wood parting like it's honored to be useful. The rookie tries, voice wobbling, but the axe bites true. The song is a teacher now, turning clumsiness into rhythm. Lunch is salmon baked in alder leaves, eaten on the beach while the song circles like a lazy kite. The alder quizzes them between bites. What verse for a squall at dawn? The rookie recites, words sticky with fish, and the girl corrects his pronunciation with a smirk. The elder taps her staff approval. The song is no longer just sound. It's a map. Every phrase a landmark. The Thunderbird verse for wind, the whale verse for courage, the dolphin verse for joy. The rookie traces the toggle's carved eye with his thumb, feeling the grooves like braille. He's learning that the lullaby isn't one song, it's a library, and he's just been handed the key. Afternoon brings net mending under the watchful eye of a woman whose fingers move faster than gossip. The youths sit in a semicircle, bone needles flashing. The song is softer here. A murmur under the times. Snick, snick times of cord through mesh. The rookie's stitches are crooked at first, but the melody steadies his hands the way it steadied the canoe. The woman hums a counter-melody, and the nets grow stronger, each knot a syllable in the village's safety. A seal barks offshore, and the youths answer with the dolphin verse, laughter bubbling up like spring water. The woman smiles rare as sunshine in February and ties off the rookie's section with a flourish. Stormproof, she declares. The song agrees. Dusk paints the sky in bruise colours, and the youths gather again, this time around a fire that smells of cedar and secrets. The elder's braid is undone now, hair silver as moonlit waves. She teaches the final layer, the storm-calming verse, the one that turns thunder into a purring cat. The youths sing it in rounds, voices overlapping like waves on a calm day. The rookie's turn comes. He closes his eyes, sees the cow's eye, the dolphin's leap, the elder's nod. The note leaves his throat pure, unbroken. The fire flares as if applauding. The girl beside him nudges his shoulder pride, not teasing. The song is in him now, a second skeleton. Night falls, and the village quiets. But the song doesn't sleep. It's in the creak of longhouses settling, the hush of waves, the soft snore of raven curled nearby. The rookie lies on his mat, toggle under his pillow, and hums the storm verse under his breath. Outside, the Pacific breathes, steady, lulled by 1,000 voices across 1,000 years. He dreams of canoes that fly, whales that sing back, of a girl with blueberry fingers teaching him to dance on water. The song cradles him, gentle as fog, fierce as cedar. Tomorrow he'll sing it to the nets, to the kindling, to the tide. The lullaby has claimed another generation, and the storms, whatever shape they take, don't stand a chance. The rookie wakes before the gulls, the toggle still warm under his cheek, and for one groggy heartbeat he swears the tiny carved orca is humming the storm verse back to him. He sits up, cedar mats rustling like dry leaves, and catches Raven smirking from across the longhouse. "Talking to your girlfriend?" Raven whispers, nodding at the toggle. The rookie flings a cedar chip. It pings off Raven's forehead and lands in someone's soup. The song always. The song swallows the scuffle before it escalates. A low hum from the elder's corner reminding everyone that dawn is for practice, not wrestling. Mainstream history mentions that Tsimshian youths were sometimes sent on solo vision quests to hear the whales whisper in the waves. A rite tied to the lullaby tradition. Quirky tidbit. One recorded quest taker returned, claiming the ocean burped up a perfect clamshell shaped like a drum. The village used it for decades, until a raven stole it for a nest. Historians still argue whether these whale whispers were acoustic hallucinations from hunger or genuine echolocation bleed-over from passing pods. The elder claps once sharp as a gull's beak, and the youths file outside into air so crisp it bites the lungs. Fog hugs the beach like a clingy blanket. The Pacific is a sheet of hammered pewter. Today's lesson is Fringe, the secret verse, the one elders whisper only when the moon is wrong side up and the tide is drunk. The rookie's stomach flips. He's heard rumors, songs that make orcas surface just to listen. Melodies that convince fog to lift like a theatre curtain. The elder leads them to a tide pool no bigger than a longhouse mat. Its surface mirror still. "Sing to the water," she says, and the water sings back. The girl with blueberry fingers, let's call her Salmonberry now, because someone has to raise an eyebrow that says times this ought to be good asterisk. The rookie kneels, heart thumping louder than any drum. The elder begins, a note so low it's more vibration than sound. The tide pool ripples, a perfect circle spreading from nowhere. The youths layer in, tentative, voices wobbling like reflections. The rookie closes his eyes, remembers the cow's eye, the dolphin's leap, the toggle's warmth. His note joins the braid, and the pool answers. Faint click, then a whistle, rising from the depths like a memory surfacing. Salmonberry gasps, Raven's smirk vanishes. The elder smiles, creases deepening into fjords. "Whale talk," she says simply. The pool clicks again, sharp, inquisitive, and the song shifts, mimicking the rhythm. The rookie feels it in his teeth. The orcas are out there, beyond the fog, eavesdropping on a lesson older than writing. The elder teaches the whisper verse phrase by phrase, each syllable a key turning in the ocean's lock. The youths repeat, softer than breath, until the tide pool is a tiny amplifier broadcasting their lullaby into the deep. A dorsal fin breaches half a mile out, black, curved, curious, then vanishes. The rookie's skin prickles. This isn't the hunt. This is conversation. The song dips into subaudible ranges, the kind that travel for miles underwater. The elder's eyes shine wet pride. Maybe memory. She tells them, voice barely louder than the fog, that her own grandmother sang this verse to a stranded calf and guided it back to its pod with nothing but melody and moonlight. The rookie believes her. The toggle in his pocket feels heavier, as if the carved orca is nodding. Practice moves to the canoes, smaller ones today, riverborne and skittish. The elder pairs them, rookie with Salmonberry, Raven with a boy who snores like a chainsaw. They paddle into the fog, song muffled so the whales don't think it's dinner time. The whisper verse is the steering wheel now. A held note turns the canoe left. A trill spins it right. The rookie's paddle drips silver, and Salmonberry's voice braids with his so tightly he can't tell where he ends. And she begins. A click answers from the gloom, close, too close. The canoe rocks as something massive brushes underneath, gentle as a sigh. The song holds, steady, and the orca surfaces alongside, eye level with the gunwale. It's a bull, scarred from squid battles, and he exhales a cloud that smells of krill and eternity. The rookie forgets to paddle. Salmonberry nudges him, and the song resumes, softer, an apology for staring. The bull keeps pace, fin-cutting fog like a knife through smoke. The whisper verse loops, a lullaby for a creature that could flip them like pancakes. The orca clicks a question, and the elder, far behind on the beach, answers with a single held note that travels through water and cedar and bone. The bull rolls, belly flashing white, and dives. The canoe steadies, fog thinning just enough to reveal the village lights winking like low stars. The rookie's hands shake, but the song keeps them on the paddle. Salmonberry's grin is all teeth and triumph. "He likes you," she says. The rookie snorts gentle sarcasm. "Great, I'm dating a whale now." The song swallows the joke, turns it into another note. Back on shore, the elder waits, staff planted like a flag. The youths spill out of the canoes, babbling, but she silences them with a look. "The whisper isn't power," she says. "It's listening. The rookie nods. Toggle warm against his palm. He hears it now. The ocean's constant murmur, clicks and whistles threading through waves like hidden lyrics. The song is a two-way street, and today they walked it barefoot. Lunch is forgotten. The youths cluster around the tide pool again, singing softer, waiting for answers. A clamshell bobs to the surface, perfect, spiraled. The drum of legend. Raven lunges. Salmonberry beats him to it. They laugh, and the song laughs with them. Fog lifting to reveal a sky the color of forgiveness. Evening brings the village together. The whisper verse, now public property sort of. The elder sings it once, full volume, and the longhouse falls hushed. Oil lamps flicker and sink, as if the melody is conducting light itself. The rookie stands with Salmonberry, Raven on his other side, and the three of them lead the response. Their voices are young, imperfect, but the Orca's here. A distant breach answers, a spout catching the last light like a fountain of diamonds. The elder's eyes close, tears tracking through wrinkles. The song is safe for another generation, and the storm's inner, outer, ancient, new will have to wait their turn. Years slip past the village like quiet waves, each one carrying the song a little farther inland, a little deeper into memory. The rookie is no longer a rookie. His shoulders have broadened to match the canoe's beam, and the toggle he once slept on now hangs from a cedar bark cord around his neck. The tiny Orca worn smooth by thumb and tide. Salmonberry's hair is braided with raven feathers now, and Raven still all elbows, but useful ones has a son who snores exactly like his father. The longhouses still glow with orca oil, but the barrels come less often. The pods grow wary, or perhaps the sea itself is teaching caution. Mainstream history notes that by the late 1800s, commercial whaling fleets with steamships and exploding harpoons had decimated Pacific orca populations, pushing Tsimshian hunters towards salmon and trade. Quirky tidbit. One village traded a single whale oil barrel for a gramophone that played "Oh, Susanna" until the needle wore a groove shaped like a smile. Historians still argue whether the Lullaby's decline began with the whale's absence or with the arrival of hymns in four-part European harmony. The elder is gone now, her staff planted upright in the sand where the tide pool used to be filled in by a winter storm that rewrote the beach like a careless editor. Her voice lives in the youths she trained, but it's thinner, stretched across too many new sounds. The clang of Hudson's Bay bells, the whistle of a distant steamer, the crackle of a missionary's Bible pages. The rookie called him Driftwood now, because names grow like trees stands on the beach at dawn. Toggle warm against his chest, and sings the whisper verse to an empty sea. No clicks answer. The fog lifts to reveal nothing but gulls, and the faint smear of smoke from a cannery up the coast. Salmonberry joins him, her baby slung against her hip, and adds the harmony out of habit. The child gurgles on the high note, and they both smile bittersweet, like salmon breeze in November. Inside the longhouse, the song is taught still, but the circle is smaller. Children learn it between lessons in English and arithmetic, the melody competing with the scrape of slate pencils. Driftwood watches a girl with his old wide eyes struggle with the Thunderbird verse, her voice cracking like thin ice. He kneels, adjusts her breath the way the elder once adjusted his. Feel the wave. Don't fight it. She tries, gets it, beams. The toggle presses against his sternum, a heartbeat from a whale that no longer swims these waters. He thinks of the cow's eye, the bull's curious nudge, the clamshell drum now lining a raven's nest somewhere in the spruce. The song is a cradle, but the baby is growing up, and the ocean isn't sure it wants to rock anymore. Missionaries arrive with blankets and smallpox scars, promising salvation in exchange for silence. The lullaby offends them, too pagan, too loud with spirit. Driftwood sings it anyway, softer, in the smokehouse where the rafters remember every note. Raven joins, then Salmonberry, then the girl with the cracking voice. The song shrinks to fit the space, but it doesn't break. Outside, the steamer whistles again, hauling canned salmon to cities that have never tasted fog. The village dogs bark at the noise, and the children mimic the whistle in their play, turning the lullaby into a game of telephone. Driftwood corrects them gently, but his heart isn't in it. The Pacific is changing its tune, and the Tsimshian must change with it or drown. One spring, a pod returns smaller, scarred, led by a cow with a dorsal fin notched like a broken comb. Driftwood launches a canoe alone, against every rule, and paddles into the fog with nothing but the toggle and the whisper verse. The cow surfaces beside him, eye cloudy with age but sharp with recognition. He sings, voice rough from disuse, and she answers with a click that rattles the cedar. No nets, no harpoons, just song for song's sake. The cow rolls, belly flashing scars from propellers and exploding lances, and Driftwood sees the future in her wounds. A world where lullabies are museum pieces. He sings the storm verse anyway, the one that once calmed thunder. The cow exhales, long and slow, and dives. The fog closes over her like a curtain. Back on shore, the village has electric lights now flickering, unreliable but bright enough to read by. The longhouse is quieter. The oil lamps gather dust beside gramophone records that spin tales of faraway wars. Driftwood teaches the girl with the cracking voice the final handoff, how to sing the lullaby into a child's fevered sleep, into a lover's grief, into the hollow left by a whale that never came home. She learns, voice steadying, and one night she sings it to her little brother, while the steamer whistles in the distance. The child's fever breaks. The song holds. Driftwood listens from the doorway, toggle warm, and feels the cradle rock one more time. Years later, Driftwood is the elder, braid silver as moonlit waves, staff planted where the tide pool used to be. The village is half its old size, the canoes rotting on the beach, but the song survives in bedrooms and kitchens, in the hum of a mother rocking a colicky baby, in the murmur of a fisherman coaxing his outboard to start. The girl, now a woman with her own braid, brings her daughter to learn the whisper verse. They stand at the water's edge, fog thick as ever, and sing to an ocean that answers with silence and diesel fumes. But the child's voice is pure, and for a moment the Pacific remembers. A single click echoes from the deep, faint, far maybe imagination. Driftwood smiles, tears tracking through wrinkles. The lullaby has outlived the whales, the steamers, the missionaries. It rocks the inner storms now, the ones that rage in hearts too small for the world's noise. The toggle hangs from the child's neck now, the carved orca worn to a ghost. Driftwood's hands shake as he passes it, but the song steadies them. The circle is tiny, just 3 voices, but it's enough. The fog lifts, revealing a horizon stitched with container ships and contrails. The lullaby doesn't care. It sings anyway. A cradle for everything that still needs rocking. The village sleeps under a sky so clear the Milky Way looks like spilled salt. And Driftwood, old now, braid gone to frost, sits on the beach where the tide pool used to be. Staff planted like a promise. The toggle is gone, passed to the child who passed it to her child. But the song is still here, woven into the wind that combs the spruce and the hush of waves that never quite forget. The Pacific breathes slow tonight, a cradle rocking itself, and Driftwood hums the whisper verse so softly only the sand dollars hear. Mainstream history closes the chapter with a footnote. Tsimshian whaling ceased by the early 1900s, the lullaby surviving in fragmented recordings and family memories. Quirky tidbit: a 1,920 seconds, anthropologist tried transcribing the storm verse onto wax cylinder and accidentally captured a raven stealing his sandwich mid-note. Historians still argue whether the lullaby's final form is a lament for lost whales or a quiet rebellion against silence. The village is quiet longhouses replaced by frame houses with aluminum siding, canoes swapped for fiberglass skiffs with outboards that cough like smokers. Driftwood's great-granddaughter, let's call her Cedar, sits beside him, knees drawn up, toggle warm against her collarbone. She's 12, all questions and sharp edges, and she sings the Thunderbird verse under her breath the way other kids mumble pop lyrics. Driftwood listens, eyes on the horizon where a cruise ship glides past like a floating hotel, lights twinkling like it's trying too hard. Cedar's voice cracks on the high note, same place his did, same place the rookies did, and he smiles without correcting. The crack is part of the handoff, proof the song is alive. Cedar asks, "Do the whales still hear us?" Driftwood considers the diesel haze on the water, the sonar pings from fishing boats, the Orca tours that promise selfies with wild pods. "They hear something," he says. "Maybe not us. Maybe the echo." She nods, satisfied the way only children can be, and starts the dolphin verse. A seal pops up offshore, whiskers twitching, and for a heartbeat the beach feels like 500 BC, like 1850, like every year the song held the sky together. The seal barks once approval or hunger, hard to tell, and dives. Cedar laughs, the sound bright as breaking glass, and Driftwood's chest loosens. The lullaby is a cradle, and the world is still small enough to fit inside it. Night deepens. Cedar's mother calls from the porch light, voice carrying the same lilt salmonberry once used to tease. Cedar stands, brushes sand from her jeans, and hugs Driftwood hard enough to rattle his old bones. "Tomorrow?" she asks. "Tomorrow," he agrees. She runs off, toggle bouncing, and the song follows her like a loyal dog. Driftwood stays on the beach, staff a shadow, and sings the storm verse one last time. The wind shifts, carrying his voice out past the break, past the cruise ship, past the container ships and contrails. Somewhere, a pod surfaces scarred, wary, but listening. A cow exhales, a sound like distant thunder wrapped in velvet, and Driftwood feels it in his marrow. The circle is complete. The stars wheel. Tide creeps closer, licking at his boots, and Driftwood's voice softens to a whisper, then to breath, then to memory. The lullaby doesn't need him anymore. It never really did. It lives in Cedar's laugh, in the seal's bark, in the hush between waves. The Pacific rocks gentle now, a cradle vast enough for every storm that ever was or will be. Driftwood closes his eyes, feels the toggle's ghost against his chest, and lets the song carry him home. The beach is empty, staff planted, sand dollars gleaming. The song lingers, soft as fog, fierce as cedar, eternal as the tide. Sleep comes easy tonight, wrapped in harmony older than mountains, gentler than dawn. The whales are gone, the canoes are gone, but the lullaby rocks on, a cradle for the world. And now, dear listener, let the rhythm slow, let the cedar scent fade, let the waves grow distant, softer, softer still. Breathe with the tide, inhale the salt, exhale the day. The Thunderbird folds its wings, the orcas swim in dreams. You are safe, held, cradled in the same song that steadied 40-foot canoes and silent storms. Let your thoughts drift like foam, your worries sink like stones. The Pacific hums beneath you, a vast and gentle cradle, and the lullaby wraps you tight. Sleep now, deep and sweet, carried on the breath of ancestors and whales and children yet to sing. Good night, sweet dreams. The ocean keeps watch.